All aboard the Ferrari roller coaster. Will Singapore be another free fall, or does this coaster go to the moon? Let's talk about it on this episode of the Eaton Asphalt podcast. What a week for people like me. I'm pretty excited about how things turned out. I know that this is going to be the best probably weekend of my year, but I'm going to savor it. So I'm pretty happy about that. Ian, how are you feeling?
Pretty average,
Yeah.
Really, I was happy for you though. When you see,
Yeah.
here's the other thing. I think we like to dig on each other a little bit. Obviously,
What?
I know, but
Shut up.
dude, Monza when the Tifosi invade Monza podiums, there's not a lot better than that, and that's just exciting. Even if you don't like Ferrari, you like to see that.
Yeah.
Nobody reps as hard as the Tifosi in Monza.
Yeah, they go pretty and like obviously Sunday is what it is in this season that we have, but to see that Saturday too was just incredible. That might have been like my favorite calls in that I can remember. That was just probably the best finish of a calls I've seen in a long, long time.
That was a Ferrari roller coaster like crazy. We'll talk about
Yeah.
that.
And like Ian said, lot to talk about this podcast. We're going to do another 2-for-1. We're going to be a lot quicker. We'll see. Speaking of that, we have our good, bad, ugly, our gambling paddock, race recap, race predictions recap, grand preview, fun facts, gambling paddock, race predictions. And we're going to do that all quickish. With that being said, let's get into our good, bad, and ugly. Ian.
All right. For my Monza, good, bad, and ugly. My good, Oscar Piastri. And I know what you're thinking. He's too much of a McLaren stan, but he is for the race he had. If he didn't have that contact with Lewis, would have been a little bit of a different race for him. And congratulations to Oscar Piastri, 6th driver this season to nab fastest lap of the season. Didn't get any points for it because he finished outside of the points, but got the fastest lap. That car's a rocket ship. Marco, quick pop quiz. Who are the other 5 drivers that got fastest lap this season?
Max Verstappen. George Russell. Is that right?
Yep.
Lewis Hamilton.
Yep.
Lando Norris.
Nope.
Damn. Fernando Alonso.
Yep.
I need one more.
Yep.
Carlos Sainz. No, Perez.
Actually, Guan Yu Zhou, which I forgot.
Yeah, dude. Oh, would you look at that?
I was like, I saw that, and who else has gotten fast lap this year? And in the first race in Bahrain.
Oh, it was in Bahrain.
Dude, fucking Guan Yu Zhou. I forgot that he was just balling at the beginning. Wow. So yeah, nice little bonus for a race that didn't mean much and didn't advance us too far in the direction that we want to go, which is away from Alpine. Oscar Piastri, fastest lap. Positive Ian. Positive McLaren
That's
fan.
nice. Way to take that.
Yeah. My bad is Yuki Tsunoda. I actually guessed him for crash or DNF in my race predictions. I didn't think that he wasn't even going to start the race. So that has to suck. But yeah.
Dude, that's crazy. Just in the fucking starting lap, just to be like, oh no.
It's like, imagine if you have, like all the hype going into the weekend, right? You're practicing, like there's a lot of excitement going into that big race. And then all of a sudden it's over before it begins.
Formation lap.
Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, wow. We can do that. No.
My ugly, Aston Martin are now in 4th place, and Lance Stroll has cost his dad tens of millions of dollars.
Yep. Not much more to say about that.
No, we should go back and see how many times Lance Stroll has ended up in one of our bad and uglies. Because I think for me alone, it's been probably about like 6 or 7 times.
So we couldn't fit in, obviously, a new sector on this, but there has been a lot of news. One of those news that I saw coming over the last week and a half was the Aston Martin garage saying that there is actually not a performance difference between the two drivers. It's just they're actually like right neck and neck. It's just a points difference.
Yeah.
And we all know that performance and points don't really come hand in hand. It's just like correlation doesn't cause causation.
Well, they would be hand in hand if you didn't account for the luck factor, because Formula One, big variable.
Fernando's like they're basically saying, Fernando, you're like the luckiest driver in this garage by far, by 200 points, by an insane amount of points. Every race you get so lucky, and Lance is getting.
Dude, every race he's unlucky. What's he supposed to do?
There's just nothing he can. Some people say F1's out to get him.
Yeah, that's crazy. He's never anything given to him.
Hate that for that guy.
Yeah. So that's my good.
Great, good, bad, and ugly. All right. My good, bad, and ugly. My good is going to be Alex Albon. I think, and I've said this actually past couple of weeks, this has been on an absolute tear. I think he's like very underrated. No one really talks about how good his performance is. Everyone's kind of looking at those top 3 teams, those top 3 drivers. But he finished 7th place, tied with his best finish at Williams. Showed great defensive work against Lando Norris going into turn 1. Strong battles with Lewis. They're currently in 7th place in the constructors, 10 points above Haas, with every single one of their points coming from Albon himself. So, I mean, just to see where this Williams car has been the last 2 or 3 years, to see him going into Q3 like kind of regularly now these past month, 4 or 5 races. And a Williams car is clearly better, but not, I mean, even in the stratosphere of what we would expect to these top teams. I mean, for me, he is up there for like my by far. I think he's, in my opinion, going to be like the most improved driver this season, because he has just been absolutely killing it. So I think Alex Albon is just continuing to prove that Red Bull, hey, you guys needed to give him a little bit more time for him to progress in a very difficult car to learn.
Helmut Marko saying like, "Oh, he's had his shot." It's like, well, he's still a good enough driver that
he's super young. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Speaking of Helmut Marko, another couple of things that we left out in the news. Jesus Christ. All right, my bad is going to be Aston Martin. It should be Helmut Marko. Actually, I can probably move around there, but just as we thought they were coming into strong form, they fixed the upgrade issue that they made after Canada. They come out with 2 points this weekend, giving up third place, like Ian said. Their car is typically made for high downforce, less demanding straight line speed opportunities. With Singapore coming up, it's going to be interesting to see where, because this track does bode well with them, a little bit more high downforce, not a lot of straight line speed. So we will see if this car is just actually really poorly done after they made all these changes. But I think it's pretty official that the battle for second place is over, and now it's time to focus on pulling out a bronze medal at best, which is probably a tough pill to swallow after seeing the first quarter of the season the way they were.
Yeah, Fernando was on the podium every race, and now they're in 4th place. Again, tens of millions of dollars.
Yeah. And my ugly is going to be thinking Ferrari wasn't actually going to murder it on their home track. So every week people are taught, we have our lovely intern Bella work on it, and she said, "Hey, what do you guys want for the podcast title to be?" I came up with Ferrari's high expectations at Monza, so coming into the race. I foolishly asked Ian to upload the episode, and he thought it'd be funny to add LMAO at the end of it, thinking it'd be appropriate, as this tiny little brain thought it was laughable that they couldn't live up to high expectations like I expected them to be. I just think that's a tough look. He just doesn't know wheel like I do. And just putting LMAO just was kind of oh, wow. Our listeners are probably looking at us being why is that funny? They are really good at racing, especially at Monza. I think that ugly is just, I'm sorry. I'm going to have to give it to you.
I'm trying to pull up the text that I saw that was you making fun of that, but I mean, if you want to put all the onus on me, dude, I guess.
Yeah, no, I mean, I said the title name, Ferrari high expectation at Monza. That's it. And you thought, oh, that's so funny. Not too so funny. And that goes with my good, bad, and ugly. Moving on to our gambling paddock.
Good week for the boys. Good week for the boys gambling.
I loved it. Wow.
Qualifying margin was under 1/10 of a second, which is ridiculous, by the way. plus 155 on 1 unit for me. Max and Sergio top 3 minus 120. That was 1 unit, easy win. I surprisingly didn't hit my long shot half a unit of Max, Lewis, and Alonso top 3 at 650. So we're going to take those learnings. We're going to learn from the learnings, and we're going to come back having learned from learnings.
Oh yeah, you almost got 2 units on that. Sounds good. On 1 weekend. Mine also great weekend. So Ian came out with $38 net on the weekend. I went with Max and Perez top 2 plus 150, hit that. And then both Ferraris to score on the points. I mean, could not have been easier money right there. Minus 165, 1 unit. So I came out with $42 on the weekend. So Ian went from 342 to 380. I went with from 563 to 605. So both around the 2 units, which was, I mean, that is by far the most that we have made collectively as a crew.
That's what you get. That's what you get when you come to the boys for gambling advice.
Just all of that good juju was just stewing and brewing until after summer break. And then we said, all right, let's start to make real min money.
So we're like, all right, we're going to chill the first half of the season and then go.
We're going to go the fuck off in a second. Yeah. All right. That does it for our gambling paddock, our race recap.
All right, starting off our race recap. Before we get into the top 5 teams, let's talk about what happened before the race. Quals, we got our boy Lance Stroll coming in dead last. There's only so much airtime that we should really dedicate to talking poorly about Aston Martin because they're not really worth our time, but worth noting. P20 for the boy. That's tough. Liam Lawson going P12. That was mega impressive. There was a second there where it was like, oh, could he get a little Q3 action? But didn't happen. Albon P6, you already mentioned it. He's murdering it, in that car. He deserves to be in a better car. If not Red Bull, then put him in a Mercedes. I don't care at this point. But, just like Marco was saying, we've had Sunday, it's not fun to try to guess who's going to win because we know who's going to win. But Saturdays are fun and guessing what kind of chaos is going to come about because the electric final lap that we saw in Q3 was one for the books. We had 3 cars going for pole. Leclerc was on pole, and Ferrari was going nuts in Monza. Max Verstappen took pole for all the Tifosi were kind of bummed out. And then finally, Carlos took it, nabbed it by less than a tenth of a second. It was, Carlos's first pole since Austin of 2020, which we were there for. Carlos, Ferrari's first pole in God knows how long. And that it felt like if Ferrari was going to get a pole this season, it had to be here, and it was. So awesome quali. We've just been lucking out so much with entertaining Saturdays, and even if Sundays aren't super riveting, we always have Saturdays, and it's just been awesome this year.
Yeah, I think Saturdays have been absolutely fantastic. I think the one thing that I also wanted to mention for how great Saturday was for Ferrari, it could have been so quickly taken away because both Charles and Carlos got noted by the stewards saying that they were taking too long to go around the track, their maximum time to go around the track. They went past it, only 2 cars to do so. Everyone was expecting them to lose a couple grid spots for that. And it just would have been the most what are we doing here? This is just we cannot keep shooting ourselves in the foot. Thank God that I think the stewards in the FAI might have been shot up by the mob if they did do that. So I think they probably, for their sake, said, hey, we're going to let this one slide.
It would have been
much appreciated.
Would have been hard for them to make it home if they took that away from Ferrari.
Yeah. So smart men right there. Moving on to the race on Sunday with McLaren, 115 points total, 4 points on the weekend. Lando going from P9 to P8, Piastri P7 to P12. So Oscar just has been getting into unfortunate luck when it comes to running into other drivers. He had his run-in with Carlos. It seemed like Carlos maybe it was kind of up in the air on who did it. Seemed maybe a little bit more Carlos. Carlos blames Oscar, and then this time with Lewis. Clearly, Lewis coming in and going into his braking zone and moving into him. Luckily, Lewis right off the bat says, "My fault." that was on me. So like good on Lewis to actually kind of step up. It seems like a guy that typically tries to do that when he makes a mistake. And then Lando, just not a super fulfilling race either on Saturday or Sunday, but no matter what, it just seems like no matter how bad his race is, he's always in, like, he is getting some type of points there. And to keep that distance between Alpine and how they are very wishy-washy on getting points every other weekend, this is exactly what they need to maintain that fifth place. So just doing exactly what he needs to do to maintain that fifth place. I don't think they're kind of in the mix for anything else right now. So
nope. And then Aston Martin. Let's talk Aston Martin once again. And that was Aston Martin. Let's move on to Ferrari.
Oh no! We suck again!
And Ferrari with a new P3, 228 points total. So they are 11 points ahead of Aston Martin, 27 points on the weekend. Carlos Sainz, P1, pole on Saturday to P3. Charles Leclerc, P3 to P4. Fantastic weekend. So I think, obviously, I would like to think this is the biggest team to talk about for this weekend. Best results they could have asked for, given this track, how much speed it is and what Red Bull can do with top line speed. Carlos, very impressive, doing everything he could to hold off Max in the first part of the race. I think he did very good on defense there. And then Checo in the last part. Most of Carlos's strong finishes, typically in the past, have been when Ferrari has just not been strong those weekends. He hangs on, doing really strong to get decent points, like doing above and beyond what they should have been, placing probably a little bit lower on the grid. This, I think, might be the first time when Ferrari looked really strong on the weekend that he actually outperformed Charles. With that being said, Charles was very great this weekend as well, right? Just like on Carlos's heels all weekend long. I think the only thing that I absolutely hated was how aggressive Charles was getting these last few laps. I love letting like a good team battle go on, but there was multiple runoffs, tires locking up constantly, close bump ins, almost crashing in a few times. And like, it's just at that point, I know Carlos said it on the radio. He's like, guys, can we just bring this home? Like, there's nothing going to benefit us from battling like this intensely. But Charles was giving everything he had to actually bump up into that P3 spot. It was terrifying as a Ferrari fan. I bet it was very fun for anyone else, but it was just that cringy every single time, lock up, move on. It was just a scary final 5 laps.
Yeah, I was sure that it was going to happen.
I was just like, once again, Saturday, we snuck by with like getting away with a penalty. And this is like, oh, we got too much luck. Like, we got to get back to the Ferrari ways. Fuck us both.
The racing gods were like, all right, well, Ferrari's had a good enough weekend. Let's not get greedy and get
you guys want to have too much fun over here.
Yeah. But I mean, unbelievable weekend. You deserved it. The Tifosi needed to see some good quality out of the boys, and they got it. Especially after, dude, you know what I thought about the other day and just started laughing? When we were back in Zandvoort after the summer break, everybody was ready, and the car, like one of the cars, I think it was Charles, pulled in on the second lap just because he had to change tires, and then Ferrari was just waiting for like 12 seconds to get the tires.
Joe, do you want us to come out there?
Just like, oh, is that our car?
You want tires?
Where are they?
What's going on? Oh, front wing? Oh, okay, that's fair.
Anyway, all right, let's move from Ferrari in P3 to Mercedes in P2. 273 points on the season so far after picking up 18 points from the weekend. Lewis Hamilton starting P8 and finishing P6. George Russell starting P4 and going back 1 spot to P5. They are the 3rd quickest team. It was pretty clear. I think George Russell had podium hopes last time we were around in Zandvoort. He did not have them this time around. I think it was very clear who was fastest over the weekend. And then, both drivers getting penalties. George running Ocon off the road in turn 1, and Lewis running into Piastri. It was just not Mercedes weekend, which I feel like they can't have too many more weekends like this. I feel like if they have 2 or 3 more weekends in the next 5 to 6 races that are like that, they are going to be in some trouble, because I think that Ferrari is going to benefit on some of these courses coming, or some of these circuits coming up, like Japan. I think, sooner than later, it's going to catch up with them, but still, what is that? We're looking at a 45-point lead right now. Not the biggest, but that can change since these teams are like highest up on the, higher up on the table. I think I said 48, 45 points out loud. And funny enough, McLaren are only ahead 42 points. So I had to watch my words there. So
different teams, teams.
Totally different parts of the table. We got
completely had no idea.
Mercedes does. That's it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they're probably pretty comfortable. I mean, I remember last year it came down to the final race. I don't see that I think Mercedes is going to have, if they're not consistent, still getting a P5, P6 relative. They only had Ferrari chipped away 9 points this weekend, and that was, the best finish that Ferrari had all year. Like you said, 45 points. I think it's going to be tough for them to make up some serious ground, but man, would I be super happy and super excited if that were the case.
Of course.
All right. And our number one team, 43 points on the weekend and 583 points on the season. Red Bull, Max Verstappen, P2 to P1, Sergio Perez, P5 to P2. Max officially breaking the tie that he had and officially leads the record for most consecutive wins with 10. Perez confronting Carlos on the cooldown room, saying that he was swerving during the braking zone. I think it's a little bit of a spin zone because they were like, oh, you should have passed him a while ago. Like, it's a Ferrari car. They're, blah, blah, blah. I think Carlos's response was pretty good. It's just saying like he was doing it. He was moving before the braking zone. He was in the rules, and then just ended up being like, you passed me. Like, what's the problem that we're dealing with right now, Carlos? Like, you did it. And he's like, oh yeah. I mean, that's a good point. So I think he was just trying to make mountains out of molehills and just probably like kind of doing a spin zone to keep his job, being like, oh, I would have passed you a long time ago if you weren't fucking cheating. Outside of that, it was just a typical Red Bull weekend of a 1-2 finish. So
yeah, they're dominant and it's boring to talk about them, but we have to. And now let's move on from race recap to our race predictions for Monza. All right, going into the weekend, the score was 25-14. I was behind 11. I got Yuki with that DNF and Max with the win, and then 2 cars not finishing. Take my score to 17.
Pretty good weekend. Mine was K-Mag last place and Ferrari taking third place in the Constructors' Championship with 2. So we are now 27-17.
By the way, I do want to bring up that was under protest. So it's under investigation right now for having maybe a less of a wild card, maybe a tamed card. You can't have a tamed card, but just letting you know.
We did make up. I just would like to say we made up 25 points, which is a pretty big wild card from the 3rd and 4th place team. I would say that's a pretty big wild card.
We'll see. We'll see what the investigation uncovers.
FIA has to do their job. I don't know what to. It's out of our hands.
We know the FIA can always do a good job, so we have that to rely on.
Yeah, no, I'm very confident in their decision.
All right, let's move on from Monza. Look forward to Singapore, and let's talk about our Singapore Grand Preview. We're back in Singapore after racing there in 2022. We are back at Marina Bay Street Circuit. Like the name implies, this is a street circuit. King of the Street, Sergio Perez, won this last year. Sergio, by the way, is about to become the longest running teammate of Max Verstappen in F1, which is a crazy stat. That's a little bit of like a wow, Red Bull fires everybody quick.
Yeah, and then just again another streak that Red Bull has to break. Even within their own team, they're finding more things to break. Fucking ridiculous.
They're getting deep in the bag for
Jesus Christ. Their analytics teams are working their ass off right now.
Much like Monaco, we got Singapore right on the water. It's just like right boards up, as you can probably understand probably guess by the name Marina Bay. Sits right on the Singapore Strait is that body of water. Outside of being kind of a cool location, it's a cool track. It's a cool time to race, right? It's a night race. It was actually F1's first night race. So they were the ones who kind of like pushed that into existence. And now we have Jeddah, all these like night races I feel like are going to be more popular. It's just aesthetically pleasing. Like it's nice It looks cool. The shots and the pictures, the videos that come out of night races are always just so much more cool, you know?
It reminds me, I mean, it's like, let's be honest, it just reminds me of Tokyo Drift.
Yeah, I mean, Leo.
If you want to Tokyo, Tokyo.
Typically a chaotic race, one of the few tracks that has had a safety car every single race. Steel is because it's a street track, there are like a lot of like bumps, and so I think that probably contributes to why there are so many safety cars all the time. 19 turns on this track, some good variety, especially coming off Monza, that it's a little more like long sweeping high speed corners. There's some good variety in these turns. Like, they do have like big long sweepers in turn 9. They also have it's turn 7, 8, 9, 13, 14, all have really low speed, like acute angles. So good variety, almost guaranteed chaos, especially if you look back historically at this track. Weather on Friday, 88 and clear, good. Weather on Saturday, 88 and rainy, a little more troublesome.
I don't know that.
Weather on Sunday, 87 and probable thunderstorms, problematic. So we start great and we slowly go more into the potential chaos here.
Yeah, I saw multiple articles just being like, hey, like, prepare for this weekend on this weather. It's not looking good.
We need like I would like to go back. We need a stats intern. That's what we need. Bella, if you have any friends, stats. We need a stats intern so we can be like, how many races have we raced with like a completely try weekend? Because I feel like the answer to that is probably like 2 or 3.
Yeah, I mean, this global warming is really coming after us.
Yeah. But by the way, I guess global warming is not real. I fell asleep watching Fox, and now yeah.
All right, dude. You think it got into your brain?
We got nothing to worry about, dude.
All right, we're fine.
Dude, it's all literally okay.
Oh, fuck yeah, dude. All right. I was watching MSNBC, and it says we're not global warming, it's global burning right now. So I'm all confused right now.
Maybe that was the misconception. Like, hey guys, global warming, don't even worry about it. Global boiling and burning and fire. Yeah. That's the
we're there. That's it. You fell asleep at that part.
All right, little politics from the boys at Eating Asphalt.
Love a little bit of banter on the politics, right wing, left wing guys going at it.
Let's go from our Grand Prix view and talk about our fun facts for the Singapore Grand Prix. Marco, I went first for our good, bad, and ugly. I would like you to go first for our fun facts.
Right on. My country fun facts kind of said it in the Grand Preview. They love things at night. They had the first night F1 race, but they also made the first night zoo. That's fun.
Damn it.
My fun fact number 2 kind of goes into my fun fact 3 as I'm reading this. I'm going to say it anyway. Gum is banned from Singapore unless you have a prescription from a doctor to chew therapeutic gum.
Yeah.
I'm not a gum guy, so I'd be fine. And then just on top of this, just super strict laws at Singapore. It doesn't seem like a place you want to go and like party with the boys, even though we'd find a way. But these strict laws include drug possession can lead to the death penalty. Vandalism could get you imprisoned. You could go to jail for touching the opposite sex while out at night if you inappropriately touch them. Homosexuality isn't banned, but homosexuality activity, specifically with men, are criminalized. I kind of liked how they added the specifically with men. Those guys at the top said, hey, that is gross, except you're a bunch of girls and we're cool. So I love that little slip in. Ridiculous. Singapore rocks. Right,
homosexuality is only
ew, gross.
Unless,
but if you're girls, all right,
hey,
we'll allow it. Just let me see,
dude. So women get to be gay and men don't.
Yeah, I don't know. This website said it. I don't know. It wasn't the Singapore news or anything. The Singapore Sun. My last one is going to be like littering more than 3 times will require you to pick up trash on Sundays moving forward. Wearing a bib says that I'm a litterer.
So like a dunce hat, but for
basically, yeah. Like I'm a bad guy. So yeah, I mean, it's just like you can't have too much fun over there. So
They should make it so that like that's for minor crimes here, like red light runner T-shirt that you have to wear for like 3 days straight.
I would say for the U.S. though, we should make the people wear the opposite of the political party their favorite stuff. We're going to get back into politics again in this episode.
Yeah.
I think if you're like a guy in the red, you're wearing like a bunch of Biden gear and you're picking up trash. And if you're a Biden guy or a blue guy, you're wearing a bunch of Trump stuff and you're kicking homeless out of homeless shelters.
Okay.
I feel like those are both things that the other party is like, I don't agree with this.
Yeah, and secretly they're like, "Hey, I'll swap with you if you want to kick homeless people."
Oh,
and they're like,
that
"Hell
could be
yeah!"
a real problem. Yeah, they don't. They took our jobs.
Careful.
All right.
All right. Well, those were facts, and they were fun.
Yay.
My fun facts is that so people speak English there, except they speak Singlish, so they smush Singapore and English together. And my first thought, because I'm stupid, was like, oh, is that just like singing while they're, you know how like peace in church?
Hey, we're walking down the street, going to get some food.
Not like High School Musical.
That's where my dumb brain went.
But yeah, they just basically all it means is they add like la or la. I didn't do much research into this. But they just add la to the end of sentences, and we're gonna leave it there. And I'm gonna ask you to trust me. And they also were like, oh, and we also call all older men and women uncles and aunties. I was like, why do you do that, weirdos? I did have Night Zoo, but you stole that from me. So I'll say 80% of the population lives in public housing, like projects. But I guess like super nice projects compared to like what we think is projects. Again, not a lot of research goes into these.
And those are your three?
Sorry, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
No, I was just curious.
There's also the most religiously diverse country in the world. So we got the Buddhists, got the Muslims, Christians, Hindus, Scientologists, got the whole gang.
Nice.
Yeah.
Really interesting, fun. Not sure if they're actually facts. All right. Well, that does it for our fun facts. Now moving on to our Gambling Paddock. Our new Gambling Paddock. Yeah. Let's keep this hot streak rolling.
All right, I'll go first for Gambling Paddock. I was torn because I'm a sucker for a good rush when it comes to gambling. And I was thinking about taking another long shot, but I didn't because I got scared. My gambling, I'm going to start off, it's just one unit, but even number of cars finish the race. I need a coin flip to fall my way. That's 1 unit at minus 105. The race winning margin, I'm going to put 1 unit at less than 5 seconds. So 4.9999 seconds. Especially if we get a safety car, I like my odds there. And then Red Bull not to win qualifying, half a unit at plus 250. So anybody other than Red Bull can win qualifying, and that's half a unit at plus 250.
Okay.
Love it.
I like them. Mine were, I don't love mine, but I'm going to do them anyway. Both Mercedes in the top 6, 1 unit minus 140. I think Mercedes is going to have a decent weekend this year. That is what a Mercedes biased article said about Mercedes, that they feel pretty good about coming to this weekend. And I'm taking that T. Top 6, 1 unit minus 140. Lando not to finish in the top 3, minus 350, 3 units.
Wait, Lando not to finish in the top 3 is minus 350?
Minus 3 units. Or I'm putting 3 units in there.
Okay. I might let you add that to my card as well.
You can't do that. I already used it.
Okay.
You can't use that. Minus 350, Lando not to finish top 3. 3 units on that, I get $22 back on that.
All right. I would like you to
Not great.
that whenever you have a
But-
minute just for the FIA to confirm.
That's fair. FIA has to do their regulation. That's fair. That's fair.
Yep.
Albon in the top 6. I said he's going hot. Half a unit plus 1,000.
Love it. Love
So we're going
That's-
crazy.
You're losing money if you don't buy that.
I mean, plus 1,000. Once you go 4 digits, you know that return is probably worth it. So
We're good.
those are my 3 bets. I'm all over the place. I don't like any of them.
Okay.
All right.
Let's finish up with our race predictions and let the people stop listening to us. All right. Wrapping up with race predictions. Give me a Carlos Sainz not to finish the race. He's flying way too high for a Ferrari guy. Sergio, race winner. Yuki Tsunoda, last place. Sergio, driver of the day. Charles, douche of the day. My really wild card prediction is Red Bull is going to have at least one car on the podium. My fastest lap is going to be Sergio Perez. My pole, Sergio Perez, and 4 cars don't finish. What's up?
Do you have a backup on that one? On that wild card one?
Oh, is it not wild enough?
Yeah, I don't think that's not enough. The FIA has already got back to me immediately and said that's way fucking wrong.
That's weird. They never get back that fast with anything.
Yeah, well, they don't like you because you're a bad guy.
All right, I'm gonna say Aston Martin takes 3rd place back.
Once again, seems hard because they were down 15. They're only down 11.
Counterpoint, Lance Stroll. We spent a lot of time talking about how bad Lance Stroll is.
Fuck it. I actually knew when we were going through this that you were going to do this. And I said, I know this doesn't make sense because I'm giving him like 20% more of a bump here. I said, I don't give a fine. Retakes it back. You're welcome. All right. You heard me? All right. I'm going to go. Crash DNF. I'm going to go with Liam Lawson. I just feel like you can't keep doing this well. It seems like the other rookies really struggled, and yeah, just keep having decent finishes. So I'm going to say he does not finish this race. If Danny, for some reason, comes back, I know they were saying potentially he comes back in Singapore. He also doesn't finish this race. So it's a Lawson's Danny combo. Winner, Lewis. Mercedes is coming hot. Going to be the first person outside of Max and Sergio to win. Last place, Nico Hulkenberg. Haas sucks right now. Driver of the day, Fernando Alonso. Aston Martin, back. Driver of the day, douche of the day, Ocon. Alpine sucks. Wildcard prediction, Lawson or Logan Sargent in the points. So he's either actually going to crash or DNF or he's going to fucking kill it. Same with Logan Sargent. He's been due.
Yeah, I mean, I think I just actually talked to the FIA again, and what they told me is since back in August, actually the 2 races ago, I took Liam Lawson in the points, and the race before that, I took Logan Sargent in the points. So that was like kind of like 2, but it's smart of you to make it so that either one of them has to finish in the points and you get points. It's kind of like just making it half as wild by definition, I would say.
Yeah, just because almost like how you have less points gap for Aston Martin to catch up back to Ferrari than Ferrari did to beat Aston Martin. It's almost like the same thing. It's crazy.
Well, again, counterpoint and trump card, end of discussion, Lance Stroll.
Fernando Alonso, he's going to be a top 2 podium.
All right, I'm fine with that. But if
because it's like 0 times 0 and you're doing 0. So it's like I have 2 zeros, you have 1 0. It's the same 0.
The only asterisk that I'm going to write in here is if Logan Sargent finishes in the points, I want 1/2 of a point.
Okay, but I get every point he gets, actually. So if he finishes 6th, I get like 10 points.
Okay, deal.
Okay, all right. And you get 1/2 a point.
No, I get 1/2 of your points.
Okay, so you get 5.
Yeah.
Done.
Okay.
Easy. All right, fastest lap. I'm going to go with Carlos Sainz. That was. I apologize to our listeners. Fastest lap with Carlos Sainz. Pole Max. How many cars don't finish? 5.
All right, everybody. Another podcast we thought we'd keep short, and it went as long as it did. But it's a twofer, so double bonus points.
All our working people that listened, and the guys on the front lines of the war. If you are a soldier, You're welcome. This kills a couple hours. So we're here for you. On either side, I don't care. Whatever provides peace and equality.
That's a joke that only I'm going to get.
I'm just saying, I'm just throwing it out there. Some people work, some people fight.
All right, everybody, let's end this. We'll see you after the weekend in Singapore. See you, asshole.
Love you. Love you, assholes.
Hey, thought you could leave without saying goodbye.
I used to say I lived my life a quarter mile at a time. And I think that's why we were brothers. Because you did too.